Hello and welcome to the Blood and Pigment channel. I'm Joseph here with a new Blood and Plunder battle report for you. This is the Escape by Sea scenario. That's part of the Summer of Plunder organized play kit for this year, 2025. This is a game played at my local store, Geeks and Games in Oregon City, with a young player, Ian. First we'll look at the scenario, then we'll look at our two forces, and then we'll get into the game. This scenario is taken from the organized play kit for the 2025 Summer of Plunder booklet. In this scenario, the defender is trying to escort a hostage off the coast and away on a ship off the board. The hostage is a new character. When making ranged attacks, a unit has to take a fatigue test before shooting this unit. They can also ransom the unit back with a fortune point, but not till late in the game in this particular scenario. The attacker is trying to take back the hostage, and the attacker will also get a free musician character at the beginning of the game, which forces the defender to take fatigue checks from the terror rule before the game starts. The attacker will set up 8 inches from one corner, while the defender sets up 10 inches from the opposite corner, and the defender can put their smallest unit in the ship near the middle of the table. There's a boat and a ship at dock near the center of the table with their sail setting at 0 grappled to the docks. The objectives of this scenario: the defender wins, automatic win, if they get the hostage off the table, from a sea edge in the boat or ship. The defender will take 1 strike point if the attacker has taken the hostage back. They can do that through melee. And the defender will take a strike point if the attacker controls the ship. Alright, let's take a look at the forces before we start the game. This was a 200-point game, so we had a lot of points to work with. Ian played a Brethren of the Coast list led by Henry Morgan. Henry Morgan gives the force 4 fortune points. The lucky rule, where if you spend a fortune but the result isn't better, you get to keep the fortune. Very inspiring, which lets everyone within his command range reroll fails on their rally tests. And misfortune at sea, which prohibits him from using a fortune point for any repair or sail setting or advanced maneuvers while at sea. His force consisted of 9 Morons with a stink pot, 6 filibusters, 8 coppers, and 6 veteran freebooters. He had Henry Morgan attached to the filibusters with the hostage. This faction gives him +2 to the attack roll and a chance to replace activation cards without spending a fortune once during the game. His was a fairly elite force at 30 models, 31 with the hostage, but some high-powered stuff, especially his commander. I played the Choctaw native faction from Raise the Black. This faction has the ability to give a unit a free move at the end of an activation, much like the French Caribbean Militia faction. They also have a strange ability to downgrade a musket main weapon to a sidearm weapon for -4 points for the unit, so kind of a low-cost faction. The speed this faction has I thought would be good for this scenario. And I use the strange red and white chief commander option. It's a commander that has actually 2 models you get to put on different units. One is more the warlike aggressive commander, the red chief. He has a hard quick and aggressive commander, I believe, and then the white chief is more peaceful and has inspiring. 15 points for the 2 of them. You put them on different units, but there is a drawback where if one of them dies, is knocked out, you will automatically fail a strike test as if you had no commander left. I had 6 warrior musketeers with their muskets downgraded to sidearms, and then 2 units of warrior archers, 8 with a sidearm musket with the white chief, which is good for rallying once they shoot several arrows, and then a unit of 6 warrior archers with sidearm musket. So everybody pretty much has a sidearm musket. And then a unit of 8 young braves with a sidearm musket. I actually put my red chief with these guys. They have a 5 resolve, which makes them pretty good. And the red chief has quick, which is pretty good on an inexperienced unit too. If you have quick and action and a command point, that's pretty good for inexperienced. And it has 6 braves with actually real muskets. They could reload. And then I actually forgot to deploy this unit during the game because it was printed weird on my Force Builder printout. You had a unit of 7 Renegados inexperienced as well with a sidearm musket, kind of a one-shot thing. That was a total of 42 models plus the musician 43 plus. Actually, the red and white chiefs has 44 models total. Before the game began, we rolled for attacker, and I actually rolled high. I rolled a 10, he rolled a 7, and his +1, 2 gave him a 9, but I still was the attacker, which is really great for natives because they get to use their special rule where half of their units can use the lay in wait deployment rule. Deploy prone anywhere on the board outside of 12 inches of enemy units. 8 inches, maybe. So he deployed in the far corner with 10 inches of his board edge, and I deployed half of my units within 8 inches of my board corner, and then I put my 2 units of warrior archers in an area of terrain prone using a lay in wait. He rolled for terror from my musician, and only one of his units, his command unit, filibusters, took 1 fatigue. They drew our activation cards. We both drew events. We drew a weather event where the starts to get hotter, where there's the sun that doesn't do a whole lot. And then we drew a twist of fate. These events at the very beginning can be kind of wonky sometimes, but we had to discard our entire hand and then shuffle any cards that we wanted to back into the deck and draw a new hand. First turn is mostly moving. Ian did place his veteran freebooters in the ship and then started to raise sail. It's kind of weird, but you can raise sail where you're grappled to something and it doesn't hurt anything, so you might as well get the ship ready to take off once the hostage arrives. I started my activations with my units that were laying in wait, standing. You never want your units prone very long because they'll get killed with melee. I had them both stand using the commander and on one unit, telling the other one to stand. And then I was able to shoot off some arrows, killed 1 sea dog with a lucky arrow. Arrows can shoot fast, but they don't get a lot of kills, usually saving on 4s, 3s, 4s, 5s. And the Morons shot their pistols at pretty long range, looking for 10s, and killed 1 archer. And everyone else started just moving up, and that was the first turn. I was pretty proud of a fancy move I used here with the young Braves. I moved them 16 inches without taking any fatigue. They had that red chief, they have quick. They activate in a spades, they get a free move there. And then they get their normal move, and they get the command point move, and then they get their Choctaw free move at the end of the activation. And 2 of those are free, so they took no fatigue, but they moved 16 inches up into the middle of the board, ready to engage the enemy. I was able to take initiative on turn 2 and have my forward units shoot some more arrows. My white chief shot at the Marines on my left flank and killed a couple of them with some lucky arrows, and then shot their muskets at Henry Morgan with the hostage coming up the middle. I had to take a fatigue check, shooting the unit that contained my own hostage, so I didn't want to kill him. And I took a fatigue, which was bad because I took a fatigue for shooting twice anyway, so that put that unit at 2 fatigue really quickly. I killed 3 models, but he failed all of the saves, but then he spent a fortune and saved all of them in the open. Saving on 8s. Pretty great. Morgan moved up and rallied his troops that had some fatigue on them from all the arrows coming at them. The Coppers did good work throughout the game. They took their first big shot of the game and killed one of the young Braves. My command unit put some fatigue on them, which was not good. Ian brought his veteran freebooters out of the ship and put them on the dock, threatening my command unit in the center. I got some more shots on Henry Morgan and his unit, bringing them to 3 fatigue and shaken, but he rallied and was take a shot at my command unit, putting him at 2 fatigue by the end of the game. So into the round. Into round 2, both of our command units were kind of tied up with some reloads and some fatigue, but everyone's getting closer together. Going into turn 3, I took initiative again, but we did have another event that made the temperature, the weather go up even more, which gives you a fatigue if you move more than 4 inches instead of 8 inches. So everything kind of slowing down as far as movement goes, or fatigue is notching up. I was able to move my Braves up and take out that unit of veteran freebooters, which is pretty painful, but they had good muskets going through the warehouse there. The Capers took another good shot and messed up my command unit of young braves. Again, they kept failing their resolve tests. And then the Morons came up and took another pistol shot, but I was able to fire back and eliminate the unit of Morons. So 2 units out in the same turn. All Ian had left was his filibusters and his coppers, and the arrow sent the filibusters behind that rock there, shaken near the end of the 3rd turn. But my command unit kept getting fatigue on it too, so that's what I was counting on to go into melee, but it just wasn't happening yet. But I was still definitely getting the upper hand by the end of the 3rd turn. Going into turn 4, I got lucky and drew my other high spade and got my charge off. I was waiting for Red Chief with Quick, and his young braves got into melee with Morgan, hit him pretty hard and knocked out all of his other fighting models. So it's down to him and the hostage, and he actually had a local guide, which I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video here, which can't be killed in melee. But he survived all of the fatigue tests, so he fought back immediately and killed one of my young braves and put some fatigue on me, so couldn't eliminate him in this turn. The coppers kept shooting and took out, or knocked my larger unit of archers to shaken, but my smaller unit of archers was able to hit the coppers pretty hard and kill a few of them. At this point, Ian was out of fortune points, and this game, the save rolls were wild. It was all or nothing. And when you roll a all fail against arrows, when you're looking for 4s or something, it hurts, but when you have no fortune, nothing to do about it. At the end of this round, I only had about 4 or 5 casualties, and Ian was getting up there to about 50%, and he would have failed the strike test. He did fail a strike test, but we decided together to play one more turn just because the other players were still playing their game, so we continued to turn 5. Well, my luck finally ran out on initiative cards on turn 5, and the English took the initiative, and Morgan whacked back again. I think he attacked twice, once attack and then once with a command point attack, and killed another young brave, but then it was kind of over after that. Red Chief killed Morgan and takes the hostage back, and we called it at that point. At the end of the game, the English had 26 dead and the Indians only had 6, so it was a bit of a rough game for the English, or the Brethren of the Coast. I think I was very fortunate in my initiative cards, going back and looking at these pictures of my hand. First turn I had the 10 of spades, second turn I had the 9 and the 11 of spades, the third turn I had the 12 of spades, and the fourth turn I had the 13 of spades, so I really had control of the opening activation every turn until the 5th turn, which I only had the 1 of spades. So even with a free mulligan, the Brethren of the Coast had a hard time against that sequence of cards. I really do enjoy the initiative system in this game. But strange things like this happen sometimes. I think the English force probably was just a bit too small, with a high-cost commander plus several units of high-cost models. It was just a good bit smaller than my force, and I think the option to deploy a unit in the ship is a bit of a trap. If you do that, you need a good reason to do it, or need a way to get it into action quickly. If it just sits there and raises the sail, which is smart, but if it also reduces the size of your force, which can be painful. Arrows with command points are good. Just keep shooting arrows, and sometimes you don't do anything, but sometimes eventually those are going to get through, and if you're shooting 3 times as much as a musket unit, sometimes it really adds up. Saves have to be consistently good, and they were pretty rough some of the time in this game. Lucky on Morgan enables a lot of good rerolls, or good opportunities for rerolls when he rolled very poorly, but every time he rolled it was like 1 better rather than drastically better, so it helped, but he really didn't get very much fortune back, and he didn't really get a massively better roll, except for that one early when he rolled 0 saves to 3 saves out of 3 hits, so that was really good. I really enjoy the Choctaw. They're fun, but they're kind of dangerous. I was panicky when I have that sidearm musket, especially on the warrior musketeers. They don't really have any else going for them, no other weapons or options. You shoot once and then they're just a melee unit. But the warrior musketeers are kind of bad if you just run them with straight muskets. They have poorly equipped and slow reloads. They get 3 reloads all the time, and then if they activate on a club, they get 4. Then if you get rain, they start to get 5, and it just gets crazy. They don't shoot very often, so bringing them down to a 3.5 point unit effectively is pretty cheap. And I think my cheap units compared to Ian's 8, 6, and 5 point units it just made the numbers hard for him. I really enjoy the free move, like the French on the Choctaw here. I didn't have a lot of move advantages, although my commander had quick, and those combined is quite good. I enjoyed the scenario, even though we didn't get quite all the way up to the ship, where things start to feel a little bit panicky. I've played this several times before. I think this is a good introduction to amphibious games. It doesn't have that challenge of the sea list getting onto land, but it's more of a race to the ship, which I think is always a fun scenario. Sorry for the white hostage on the board today. I just hadn't got it painted yet. This model is part of the Summer Plunder kit. I expect this model to become available for Firelock Games later, but I'm not sure. But hopefully you have access to one of the kits this season, and we're able to get one of these models. It's a fun new character to play around with. I should have mentioned that a lot of Ian's force was using some proxies. The coppers were the orange English militia, and the veteran freebooters are the red English militia, and then the freebooter models are actually filibusters, so there's interpretation going on there. Now, thanks to Ian for playing a good game, being a good sport, and thanks to Geeks and Games for always hosting our club here in Oregon City, and thanks to Firelock Games for producing a great game and a fun organized play kit to play with during the Summer Plunder. I hope you're having a good time during this event this year and able to jump in and play either some local people or online on Tabletop Simulator if you don't have local people, or some solo games. Summer Plunder is still going for a couple weeks here into the summer of 2025. If you're watching this right away after it's published, thanks for watching this video, and I'll try to get another battle report out before too long this time. Thanks, bye.